Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Gears of War 4. So, this review is mainly going to be focusing on the campaign, because I kind of got a feel for what Horde mode was going to be like kind of in the campaign, more than I thought I would. And the multiplayer, of course, is going to be kind of your classic Gears stuff, so I kind of just wanted to play the campaign, get a feel for that, and then kind of see what kind of goes on with that. Because whenever I'm playing Gears, I'm mainly going for the campaign because I've usually liked the story that they've done. And this one is kind of a mixed bag for me. I overall enjoyed it, but there were certain things that they did that I didn't quite agree with. And that's mainly due to the fact of the length of encounters in certain respects and how certain things were structured. So, overall overview for the campaign, which actually I didn't think I could sum it up so much, is that we got the newbies, who are pretty much JD Phoenix, which is the son of Marcus Phoenix, Del, and Kate, and we're following them as they're figuring out their resurgence to Locust threat, which they're now taking people and somehow making them kind of into them. It wasn't very clear, and to do that they have kidnapped Kate's mom, which is where they usually do, who they're mainly going after. That's one point. When they get Marcus to join them, they're going after him. It's not exactly clear how these new creatures came to be, because they weren't the typical Locust beasts that we'd seen previously in Gears 3 when they had turned into the crystal things. And it pretty much ends with a boss fight where they find Kate's mom, who instead of being usually turned, they were doing care. Which, when you find out at the end, is that Kate and her mom she has this pendant from her grandmother, or farther removed relative, which is the locust symbol, so that's pretty much confirming that Kate and her family are descended from Queen Mira, and that they were trying to make a new queen from Kate's mom. And I pretty much called that halfway through the campaign. I'm like, they're going to try and turn her into the new Locust Queen. And I'm like, yep. And I didn't. It was still fun mechanically to do, and I liked the banter and all that, but they really, whenever you're doing kind of ensemble productions, you kind of have to have certain archetypes. You kind of have to have the straight man, so that way things can bounce off and they can react to certain things, and thereby kind of like having a balance to it. Then you want someone who's like the wisecracker, like what was going on in the original Gears trilogy. You kind of had Marcus, who sometimes would make jokes, but was usually the kind of straight man screaming, like, what the hell's going on? Dom was also a straight man as well, but did more on the funny side. Baird was the one that was definitely the quick thrower, and then Coltrane was the kind of big bombastic dude that's like, I got this! Come on, Coltrane, baby! Woo! And it's like, yes, that's the cool stuff. That's a nice balance. These new ones weren't really as fleshed out. They were all kind of wisecracking. It's kind of a balance that I've talked about in certain respects in certain mediums. You need some serious to balance out the jokes, and I don't think there was a proper balancing in this game. It felt more quippy than like with serious stuff, because then the serious stuff would come out of left field. It's only there for like 3 seconds, and then it kind of goes, and it's like, okay. What I do like that they did was presenting more of a good front for the COG being more of kind of a fascist kind of government, with the DBs and the robots trying to enforce control and all that, and then finding out at the end that Baird was the one behind that stuff with the robots, and that's how they got out of the one city as they were trying to get a fabricator. And that kind of worked. Baird, Cole, Marcus, they kind of worked, but they did some weird stuff with Marcus. I mean, I heard some funny ones, like he shouting about his house and his tomatoes and being a farmer and all that, but it was like really kind of, the way it was done was kind of what I have the problem with. It's like, it's taking something that you know and then trying to, like, keep it kind of modern and try and update it, but it's kind of fitting, but not really. It's like, I don't know what's going on here. It didn't feel like a plausible extension of Marcus's character. It more felt kind of forced on him. And then, nothing really stood out with the characters. JD, Del, and Kate, they kind of all just quipped about stuff and were kind of trying to be funny all the time. And then every so often Kate would be like, we gotta get my mom, and JD would be like, I gotta get my dad, and Del was just like, why are you doing certain things? It's like, okay. And when you're going through, everything feels crisp control-wise, but I was doing it on hardcore mode, and I had some challenges. I still have to go back and insane, but I'm surprised. I'd get stuck on certain encounters, but once I got past that stuck point, that sticking point, it wasn't that long after. Like, encounters can be, like, insanely short. Like, if you know what you're doing, you can be done certain enemy encounters within about 5 minutes, and I'm just like, okay. It's more of that kind of horde mode mentality that I think that has poured over into it, where you've got certain wave sets that they've had, and it's just like, okay. And that's another thing that kind of screwed with it, is that they had a lot of training you for horde mode, like using the fabricator to make weapons and stuff, and I was just like, I want to play the Gears game for the campaign. Horde mode should be a separate mode. I mean, it is, but it felt like the horde mode training took up more and more time as you were going on. It's like, oh, you did all this stuff, horde mode section, yeah. Oh, you did all this stuff, oh yeah, horde mode section. And that's like, okay. And the ending was just kind of like, since I knew it was coming, and looking online, like, just to kind of gauge how much longer I've got in the game, I'm like, wow, it really was a short amount of time. I mean, I had to break up, like, playing it and everything, but it was really kind of short, and the ending boss fight wasn't as epic as the other boss fights that I've had in the Gears series, and that's saying something. That they could have had improvements, but they were still pretty good end caps. Like, the General Ram boss fight on Insane is a bitch, and it was challenging. It's like, okay. This one, you get mechs, and you shoot off tentacles, and then you, like, kill a giant beast. There's no build up of the enemy as the boss. Whereas in the first Gears, you get that build up. You've seen Ram, he's done stuff to you, it's building up to that final confrontation, and then you get it. Same in 2, same in 3. This, it's like, oh, here's this generic monster that's representing the Swarm Hive for me. I guess I should kill my giant mech with my giant buzzsaw gun and shoot off its limbs and dismember it. Okay. It was just kind of like, I'm like, you could have done better. I thought we were probably going to fight Kate's mom at the end, and I'm like, that could be pretty interesting to see her change and all that. And I was just like, that was a letdown. I mean, yeah, you got some emotional moment with Kate taking her mom out and pretty much killing her, taking her off of the Swarm stuff, but I mean, it just felt out of place with what was going on. It's like, okay. It's more execution of these emotional moments and these humor and the seriousness more than anything. Because I've also played some of Gears of War Judgment, and that's just like, that became an arcadey kind of game, and I'm like, this was kind of more of a return to form, but it's still like they don't understand what needs to be made for Gears. Now, granted, I understand that this is their kind of first foray into making an actual game on their own within the Gears universe. They did the remaster of Gears 1, which was done very well. But this is more like, okay, the big boss, we did have fights against more Brumok, which were now called Swarmok, and it's like, okay, but it needs to be better done. good enough for a first attempt, I guess, but if these problems keep persisting throughout the rest of like the trilogy or whatever else they're going to be making, it's not going to, people are then just going to play for the multiplayer. Because to me, Gears has always been a pretty good balance of, you get a pretty interesting campaign because you're in it to see what crazy crap's going to go on, what the characters are going to do, because you built that bond. And also to see how fluid and what kind of interesting new gameplay mechanics you're going to have. And then you've also got the other side of the multiplayer, which is usually pretty good, though the shotgun rushing needs to be changed up a bit because you can just roadie run freaking. That was a problem in the other ones. But I don't know if this is going to have the multiplayer base to keep it going. I mean, yeah, you got the trifecta now also of Horde mode in there to be the bridge between the PvE and PvP, but I don't think it's going to have the staying power that they want it to. And I hope they're able to recognize this for any other games. So if you're a Gears fan, definitely check it out. And it's always cool to kind of see stuff with like Marcus and all that and kind of see where they might be taking it. But I would wait for it to be cheaper if you are going to check it out. And if you're not a fan of Gears but kind of just want a kind of fast, loose kind of campaign thing, again, check it out when it's cheaper. But other than that, it's a good game to play if you want to do stuff, but the achievements also in it are a grind fest in and of themselves. So if you're looking for an easy achievement game, I'd steer clear from this one and just kind of see if you want to play it for the campaign. I enjoyed it, but I'm really going to be looking into it to see what's going on because this is almost the same thing that's happening with Halo in that we get a new company and they don't know exactly how to meld the new and the old. And granted, 343's done it a little bit better in my opinion than the Coalition has at the moment, but we'll have to see how it is going to be going later on. But it's really kind of hard for me to recommend this at $60 and also kind of hard to recommend it to a Gears fan because it's got some Gears stuff, but there's problems that should not be there for how long it's been in development. But those are my opinions on the game. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.